what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Say what you wanna say to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Show me there's nothing fake to me now. I wanna wake up with you in the morning. Turn this room, turn it to an ocean. Let me float around.
Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're watching me for the first time, I go by the name of Gift Somagwabe, also known as Soma K, your Young Internal Auditor of the Year. Before I get into today's topic, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment down below, and just hi everyone, and thank you so much for clicking on this video. So today we're doing something a little bit different. You'll see that you cannot see my face and you just see a whiteboard. That's because I want to take you through a short, how can I put it? Yeah, just a teaching on how to understand audit procedures. And if you guys have been following me, you will know that I have tutoring experience. I've been a tutor for I think about 4 years or so. I was an audit tutor for second years. I was a senior tutor for second years, and then I became a tutor for third years, and then I became basically like an assistant lecturer, academic trainee for honors internal audit. So I think you are in good hands. So I'm just gonna do like a quick exercise with you guys. I am offering private tutoring lessons, but at a fee. So this is just short videos just to give you guys a basic understanding of certain things, but obviously when you sit down with me, you will have a deeper understanding and you will get more, what can I say, more coaching or tutoring and understanding of the module based on what you're studying and which university you're from and what you're struggling with. So yeah, let's get onto it. As I said, today we want to understand audit procedures. All right, okay, I hope you guys can see. So basically we know that with audit procedures we're looking at certain words that you need to use when you come up with your procedure. So these are words like inspect, recalculate. I hope my handwriting is not so bad, guys. We have observe, right? And we'll also have what am I missing? You can also use the word confirm. It's not the main word, but use that as a sentence to go to some of your other words like inspection, but I'll explain that. We have compare. We also have words like inquiry as well, right? And we also use another word like verify. So these are some of the words that we use when we drafting our audit procedures. So guys, it's very important that you do not use the word check. So when I mark some of the papers and you have a question where you have an audit procedure, it is quite bad to see a student using the word check because it's not an audit term. So the moment you use the word check, it's a bit difficult to give you a mark, even if the rest of your sentence kind of makes sense, you know, because it means you don't really understand what you're doing. The next person wouldn't know, how do you check? Do you check by actually recalculating? Do you check by observing? Do you check by comparing? Do you check by inquiry and so forth? So these are the words that we're going to use when we're drafting our audit procedures. So right? Now the next thing is when you're drafting your audit procedures, you need to know the what. So when I say what, it is what document are we looking at? What document are we inspecting? What document are we recalculating? What calculations are we working with from which document, right? What are we observing? What are we confirming and so forth, right? Another thing you need to know, so if there's a doc involved, you might have to have your why. Why are we doing this? Why am I inspecting, right? And sometimes you could use the word I'm inspecting because I want to confirm, which is this word. I want to confirm something. I'm recalculating because I want to verify the accuracy of something. And that is where now you'll notice your accessions come into play, right? because sometimes we do these things for accuracy, we do it for completeness purposes, and so forth, if you know your assertions, guys. And then another thing, so we've done what, we've done why, and we might also have your who, right? Because if you use the word inquiry, you want to know who are you going to inquire from, who is the person that you're going to work with this procedure. If you're observing who is doing that certain process. So if you also look at observation, you'd have your what are we observing, right? Oh, okay, sorry, I did have that. But I mean, okay, what in terms of the doc, or it could be in terms of the process. What are we observing on that particular day if we're doing like a walkthrough, or if you're testing something in a walkthrough? What are we observing? If we're comparing, what are we comparing to, and why are we doing it? So if you have a basic understanding of what I've just written here, you will be on the right track. So let me just wipe this. Okay, so now I've explained that section. You're going to request for documentation. And if you know your standards quite well, if you look at standard 2310, it talks about having sufficient, it talks about having reliable. Guys, I'm so worried about my handwriting, but I hope you can see it. But if you follow my voice, you'll know what I'm writing. It talks about relevant documentation and useful. So I won't dive too deep into that. But these four things, basically your S, R, R, U. So if you have sufficient, reliable, relevant, and useful information, meaning that your testing should go well. Your testing shouldn't give you problems, because you need to make sure that when you're requesting all the documentation and you're going through the documents, it does equate to these requirements that the standards needs you to have. So you need to have sufficient information. You cannot be testing something that's not sufficient, so it's not enough. You cannot be testing documents that are not reliable. So if you go deeper into reliability, you look at it's much better when it comes from maybe a third party over the client and so forth, and a original copy is better than the photocopy. So that's like your reliable information. Is it useful? And so guys, I don't want to go too deep into that, but that's something that you need to know. I'll probably dive deeper as we keep going with these lessons, or if you have private sessions with me. So now I've explained that, right? So now you're probably asking, okay, Gift, I have this process now, I want to draft audit procedures. And audit procedures are a bit complicated, I won't lie, depending on the industry, the process that you're doing. So I'm going to do something quite simple, and I want you guys to follow with me. So I'm going to use something that you guys could relate to. So let's say Gift, right, has an objective. So Gift has an objective of achieving 80% for her final audit exam. Okay, so this is my objective. So remember, the client, they have certain objectives that they would like to achieve, and as auditors, we sort of come and do the engagement, perform the engagement, and we want to see how is management working towards the objectives, right? And to see whether the controls are working or not, and how we can add value. Okay, so now what happens is we have this, and we want to know, how is Gift going to achieve the 80%? What's happening? What are the controls in place, right? And the client will tell you that this is their process. So this is what you do in the walkthrough, and you're finding out how do they do these things. So they'll tell you that Gift studies every day for 4 hours, right? And they'll tell you that, okay, she attends extra lessons once a month, right? And they'll say Gift also what else can we say that she does? Let's say that she has a timetable, a study timetable that she follows, right, on a daily basis. So this is my process. They've told me that I study. Okay, the client says we in order to reach this 80%, we've said that we could study every day for 4 hours, attend extra lessons once a month, and have a timetable that is followed. So now, as the auditor, you'd come in and now you would ask, okay, are you studying every day, right? You say you're studying every day for 4 hours. Okay. And then when you do that, now you're going to raise questions, because now you need evidence to be able to test that this process is actually happening. So what you're going to do is you would now ask the questions. Okay, you study every day. How long do you study for? You'd ask, do you practice questions? Do you attend class? You would request, okay, let's see your timetable. How does it work? How many days a week is your timetable set for you to study? So all these questions would help the internal auditor to understand the process better. So basically, now you'd say, okay, you'd start requesting for the timetable, right? You'd request for the timetable. If they say attending lessons once a month, you'd ask maybe with who, right? You'd ask with who, you'd ask where, right? If it's maybe a service provider, so you'd want to know, is there evidence of maybe attendance for that month, and so forth, and you'd compare and see if it actually works. So as the internal auditor, these are the evidences that you would want to know. So you would ask for attendance register, you'd ask for where they study. So if they say they study at the library as well every day, right? Let me actually wipe this. So if they say they study at the library every day and so forth, now this is where your procedures come in. So remember, based on the process, we would like to get maybe the attendance register of her going once a month. We want to see her name there. We would ask for the timetable that she's using to study, right? Okay, and then maybe we just want to know, like, okay, you go to class and so forth. Okay, you attend class. So we want to know maybe the names of the lecturer who we could speak to confirm all of this and so forth. So now what happens is you start coming up with your procedures. So the words that we spoke about, right? We said inspect. And remember, guys, another thing is, with the documents that you're requesting, it has to be within the period of review, which is basically your scope. So if your period of review is, you want to see, she's writing her final exam, so you'd want to see maybe from September to November. So that's 2 months, let's say, of 2022. You want to see how she's doing over the 2 months. That means you would request for an attendance register for the past 3 months, September, October, November. You'd want to see her timetable for the past 3 months, and you'd want to see her attending the classes with the lecturers. And she also mentioned that maybe she goes to the library, right? So now this is where your procedures come in. So as you guys are watching this video, you'd ask yourself already, I want to inspect the attendance register. So you'd write inspect the attendance, right, register for the extra lessons being attended by gift. I feel like if I write too long, being attended by gift, right? Being attended, let me just write it. Being attended by gift, right? For the period of review. So you could either write it for the period of review. Okay, so wait, let me backtrack, guys. Let me backtrack so that I can actually give you a detailed procedure. So this is how you'd actually, for it to look really good. So you would say select select samples or attendance registers, right, for the period of review. Okay, we've already established what it is. For the period of review, or it's say obtain obtain the attendance registers and select a sample for the period of review, something like that. Okay, for the period of review, and through inspection, right, confirm that gift S is on the list, that through inspection confirm that gift is on the list for the class, let's say for the module internal audit or something like that, right? So that's a procedure that you'd come up with. Okay, then if let's say now you want to add to your procedure, you'd say something like if gift does not appear on one of the register attendance, right, then you'd say obtain reasons from management as to why she did not attend. Okay, so that's basically what you would say if you want to like move the procedure a bit further. And then now let's say we just want to go a little bit more on the timetable, right? So the timetable, you'd basically say something similar: obtain the timetable for the period of review. Okay, select, let's say, if you want to select the sample, maybe depending on how it goes, maybe you'd select only the days where you want to look at Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Maybe these are the days that she only studies or something, but she said she studies every day. But let's say you select your samples for the timetable and you find that she only has a timetable that is set for Tuesdays to Thursdays or something. That means that already from the process that they told us, she's not attending every day, right? And then what we do with your procedure, and you'd find that maybe, but that's another section, you find that maybe her timetable only shows Tuesdays to Thursdays. So it'd be very difficult for you you already have a finding or an observation that you've identified, right? And then another thing that they mentioned is that maybe she goes to the library. So how would you come up with a procedure for that? Probably with the library, you'd say maybe something like observe, right? Gift at the library, studying for a period of 4 hours or something. So like, perform a surprise visit to observe her studying at the library for 4 hours. Or maybe if it's possible, then you would say maybe obtain obtain a report of the biometric system, right? The system, to confirm that gift indeed was at the library or something like that. But basically, this is how you'd come up with your procedures. And guys, I'm not saying now go and use what I said exactly, but it's just a rough basic understanding of how you would work around that. Okay, so this would now give you an idea if the processes are working. And remember, based on not the processes, the controls. So remember what they told you, right? You need to document your process and have an understanding of it so that when you get your observations, you're able to compare your condition, which is what is currently happening, and the criteria, which is what has been set. So when we look at everything that we've found, maybe we note that she missed 3 classes, right, within the period of review. And then we find that she only has a timetable maybe for the month September. And then let's say October and November only has 3 days of studying. And she told us she studies every day. And maybe even her time slots are only 2.5 hours of studying. These are like observations that you make. And then maybe when we looked at the biometric report, whatever, we found that she only went to the library once, right? Oh, sorry. So only went to library once, or whenever we did the observation, maybe when we did the observation, we found that she chats a lot, is not actually studying, or she's watching Netflix or whatever it is. Okay, so these are the findings that you go and take to the client, and you start discussing now the observations that you've made. And this is where now the discussions will come in, and they'll explain why certain things happened. So maybe she missed 3 classes because she was sick. Okay, then you note that down in your working paper. Maybe with the timetable, September went good, and then she lost motivation. October, November, no one reviewed her timetable, so they didn't see that she was actually having incomplete days. And maybe the time slots were only 2.5 hours, and she'll tell you that I did study 4 hours. It's just that I noted it down somewhere else. Then they'd have to provide proof of that document. If she only went to the library once, maybe she'll tell you that due to transport costs, she was never on campus, so she studied at home. And then you'd also note that down in your working paper. And you find that maybe during this observation where she chats a lot at the library and she's never doing her work, she'll tell you that, okay, she struggles to concentrate or something like that. So now this is where your recommendations would come in. And this is where now we add value, where we would start saying, in order for you to reach the 80% objective, for you to pass your final exam, the things that are happening here are going to result in you not actually getting the 80%. So we'd recommend that maybe start consulting with the lecturer, right, when you don't understand. So if you missed a class, rather go and consult. You'd say something like, if you feel like you're chit-chatting too much or watching Netflix or whatever, maybe try have study groups with other students and see if it works for you, or would have, let's say, a timetable and notice that you have time slots that are missing or days that are missing. Say that rather have a weekly review of your timetable and see if you're adhering to it, have someone to look at it. So basically, guys, that's it. I think I went really deep because I'm very passionate about this and I could really explain so much, but I just feel like I just wanted to give you a basic understanding so that whenever you're writing your test or whatever, you just see the principles and the basics of coming up with audit procedures and just the process. So what I just showed here is just coming up with audit procedures. I did go a little bit deeper by showing observations, a bit of recommendations and so forth. But that is it from me, Gift the Tutor. So guys, if you are interested in learning from me and having private lessons, please hit me up and we will come up with a timetable. We'll come up with the fee and see how many lessons you need and what exactly you're struggling with. But all the best, guys, in your studies, and thank you so much for watching this video.